Hello and welcome to Kylo Ren's Force Fumble Episode 2. This week we'll be going over the Arizona Cardinals and also the Houston Texans. First up, we have the Arizona Cardinals with the better record here, 6-2. Their offense has just been dynamic. First in points, 29 points a game, 317 yards a game on offense. Fourth in passing with 212. Rushing has been steady, 105 with David Johnson leading the way. On defense, we'll go over this, but it's been a little bit on the middle to back end of things. They've kind of been looking like in real life, they've been looking at a little bit like the Chiefs roster here with a phenomenal all-around offense, but then the defense has been kind of subpar. But we'll go over that. Let's look at some of the statistics here for this team. Okay, so Matthew Stafford has been given the starting nod here after Jalen Hurts has kind of not really worked out so much. Pretty decent stats. Completion rating is a little low. Touchdown interception ratio is about where you want it for your starting quarterback. Nothing special there. David Johnson only 121 carries, 623 yards. His longest run is 66 yards, 8 touchdowns. Yeah. Bryce Love has been nice to change of pace back. Pretty similar to David Johnson. Might come into his own once David Johnson starts to get a little bit older. But right now, Bryce Love has been nice to give David Johnson a break here and there. For receiving, they have two really nice young receivers. Both kind of speedy guys there. Both of their long touchdowns, 92 for Riley Ridley and Jerry Jeudy with 81. Both 4 touchdowns apiece. 6 drops for Ridley, but only 2 for Jeudy. But they both have pretty much, you can look at it, one more reception for Ridley and maybe 40-something yards, 42 yards for Ridley. I mean, other than that, they're pretty much dead even for stats. Christian Kirk has been the slot guy, but I believe they just picked up Adam Humphries to fill that role a little bit more. Ricky Seals-Jones has been all right as a tight end. Nothing too special there. And Dave Johnson in the backfield has been phenomenal receiving the ball, but we know he was good at that. On defense, we have Matthias Farley leading the way of tackles and has 2 interceptions. He's just been kind of a unspoken hero for this defense here. For when they have looks good. Trey Boston has been also phenomenal down the stretch. C.J. Brunson, to pull him up a little bit, rookie this year. Not the best overall or stats. He's fast, but nothing spectacular. But you look at these stats, he has pretty consistent tackles, but 4 interceptions. Yeah, 4 interceptions already this year. It's pretty impressive. Okay, moving on. All right, so here we go. We'll have let's look at their depth chart a little bit here. So even though they are first in rushing, you can tell it's a lot of these zone plays, and it's mostly set up by their passing game. Because you look at this offensive line, Asameli, 31 years old, Matt Skura is 27 years old, but not as good as Asameli in the running game. Then you have Rodney Hudson, who's really their only solid offensive lineman. He was 31 too, though, and Gabe Jackson 29. And then their right tackle, I believe, is either Donovan Smith starting or Justin Pug. Either way, they're both really old and pretty much not much difference here in caliber of player. But yeah, it's kind of impressive how well they've been able to run the ball here, even though they don't have any good starting linemen. And then we went over all these guys. On defensive line here, Nick Bosa, drafted last year. Last year he played pretty well. Cardinals really didn't have a good year last year or the year before, but he still had 8 sacks last year. But this year, let's go to his stat. This year, 2020, right? This year he's already at his sack total from last year. 3 forced fumbles. Already has more than half of his tackles total. So far it's been a great year for Nick Bosa. I feel like he's really coming to his own. Kind of developed a little bit from last year. He's got some nice stats to show for it, and I'm excited to see what he does this year. This defense, it's improved. It's not as bad as it was last year. It's definitely improved. Still middle of the pack, but they have some starts. They have Nick Bosa. They have Matthias Farley, who's been stepping up. So all good things, and it looks like it's going upwards for them with the 6-2 record. All right, so we're going to go to our first highlight here from the Cardinals' previous game against the Bills. This game came right down to the wire. I won't spoil it yet because we'll get to the result of it. But the Cardinals played pretty well. Not their brightest game. There's definitely some down things that we'll look at from a defensive standpoint. That's the issues with the teams that are so dynamic on offense. You start them down a little bit, their defense is going to have to start carrying the load. And we saw that in the we saw that in the Super Bowl a little bit in the not Super Bowl, sorry, the AFC Championship in real life with the Chiefs, as that compared to the Cardinals to them before. In the first half, the Chiefs looked out of sync, right? They did not look like the MVP caliber team that produced Mahomes or anything like that at all. But then they brought it back. But it goes to show you, if you don't have that good defense, when these games get close, it's kind of hard to close it out, right? Mistakes happen, whatever. But let's get into the game. The first highlight here. Cardinals defense struggling here on this first drive to stop the Bills running game. 3rd and 11. Nice pinch of the D-line. Fake it out with a nice spread. 2-man under. And a very nice play here. I'd like to go just watch that one more time. I'd like to just point out the nice user play there. He's user in the middle linebacker, but he knows that he's probably not looking to the running back. He does get beat by the running back there, but he does a really nice job. Let's watch one more time. He does a really nice job of letting the computer make that play. The computer can make those plays on the receiver more often than people give them credit for, especially in man. In man coverage, it is pretty set in stone that the computer will make that type of play. All right, so then we're going to our second highlight here. After Arizona makes that nice stop, but get the ball back and start a nice little drive going here. Let's watch how this goes. 2nd and 9 here on the Bills' 38-yard line.
So if they're up around 24, 28, 30, they could be in some
important drive to set the momentum for the rest of the game here.
And that means your offense has to keep pace.
So right here, I'd like to point out just the ability for Stafford to see the field. He went to the 4 verticals. Not sure if I agree with the play call here, but Matthew Stafford does a nice job checking Judy out into a out route here. He sees the cornerback playing 10 yards off the ball. He just checks him out to the sideline. He knows he's not going to be able to break on him that fast. He's playing for that deep ball. He's playing deep coverage there, and Matthew Stafford does a nice job of seeing that and see how it works out. And also, I'd like to point out the good timing there. He hits him as soon as he pulled passes that as soon as Judy is out of that break. As soon as he hits that break, he's throwing that ball, and the cornerback has any chance to stop that. All right, so this is a scoring play here after that nice 2nd down conversion, 2nd and 9, first down conversion there. The Cardinals continue driving it. They do a nice job. I really like what I saw from this first drive out of the Cardinals. They a lot of teams, what they do when they get in the red zone is they just try and through slants over the middle or some type of, they look to the middle a lot. Now, the issue with that in the red zone, as people probably know already, is that the field is condensed, right? Those middle routes where normally the safeties are playing farther up off the ball, they're playing down in the middle there, so it's a little bit harder to fit those inside passes. So what the Cardinals do here, they throw some screens at them, at the Bills, and they throw some inside runs out of the shotgun or out of the single back with the 3 wide receiver sets. But does a really nice job of moving the ball consistently here, even in the red zone. But let's watch how he finishes this off. 2nd and 3, the play before this, again, as I said, was that screen play, that jailbreak screen. Here, he's trying to go for the toss play here. He sees the cornerback out there. He does a nice job of audibling to the inside run, and there you go. David Johnson takes it in. Not even touched. All right, so this is the first play of the Bills' next drive here. Arizona has a nice touchdown drive before this, and they're coming off some nice momentum. And let's see how this first play goes here. The Bills probably maybe trying to get too much back in one time. They didn't stick to their game plan here, where they should have just ran the ball if they were doing well. But the Cardinals capitalized on it, and you got to give them credit here. It's a nice play. I'll watch it though. Brunson, like I mentioned before, has been phenomenal. Cover 3, and look at that. Look at that jump on the ball there. Now, some people might say that's a little bit of Madden. I'd like to point out just how well he stayed in the zone there. He is staying in that zone coverage. He is right dead center in it. And Josh Allen just doesn't get any air under the ball. Right there, right? He just throws it right to him. Bulleted it right to him. Was the receiver open? Sure. I mean, either way, even if he does get it over the linebacker a little bit more, he still doesn't really have a good shot at making that pass. He's got the safety over the middle. Because of that cover 3, he's there to just pop that receiver regardless. But either way, it's just an insane catch there by the middle linebacker. All right, here we go. 1st and 10. Cardinals after that nice interception. I like what Stafford does here. Again, it's just these pre-play adjustments. He sees that he notices that the Bills came out in this 3-3-5, I believe the formation is called, the nickel set. Where only has 3 on the line, right? 3 D linemen on the line. And what that does is, even though he is matching the personnel here, because the Cardinals are in 3 wide receiver set, he's still in a single back. It's pretty good run formation here. But the Cardinals realize that it's not getting afraid to run the ball up the middle. And that's a really big key thing I see from teams that are better, is their ability to run up the middle. So let's watch it. Boom. Even if we look back on it, even if this linebacker right here gets around to the 0-1 trap, because there was a little bit of time for him to get there, Johnson's already stopping right there. If 51 doesn't get usered the wrong direction, I mean, that's still 6 yards down the field, and he still has a full head of steam. He's probably going to get another 2 just by forward momentum. So a nice call there, but Johnson still breaks this out for a nice spin move there. Breaks it for a 16-yard gain. All right, so now the Cardinals are cooking, right? They got that interception. They got a nice 1st down run here. And then this happens.
Really strong throughout that one.
Not only is he getting good
This is just after the Johnson play.
to find the holes, and he's seeing things before they even open and hurdling through them.
Bills come out in a 5-2 set here. Really good formation to use in the red zone because of this. Look at that. Look at that pressure immediately. Now the Cardinals, it just kind of sucks, right? The Cardinals probably had a good play call there with the fullback screen or a screen play. He kind of caught the Bills in that blitz. Screenplays should work there, but it's Madden, and there's just too many people that were let loose up the gut. Stafford didn't have time to throw to the screen. And there we go. There's a turnover, and instead of the Cardinals having the ball in the red zone, at least come away with a field goal, now they give the ball right back to the Bills. So I'm not really faulting the Cardinals there. It's just a poor Madden play. I will say that I have never seen that play work, the fullback screen, or really a halfback slip screen. It just doesn't work that well. If you're going to screen, which I do suggest you do, I would use one of the wide receiver screens that are a little safer, like the jailbreak screens. But there is times the slip screens do work, and you just need it out of the shotgun because of this reason. There's just not enough time to get it off because of how poorly the O-line goes out to block. But again, it's just an unfortunate play there. All right, so here's our next highlight here. This is what I want to just point out just for a kind of tip here. The Cardinals use a play calling for a style on defense where they use the type of play, man blitz, cover 2. They call it like that, the concept, right? The only issue with that is that you can see where the formations are, but sometimes you're picking plays quickly. Maybe the offense on the other side is using the coaching suggestions, so they're picking plays quickly. So you don't have time to cycle through all these concepts to try and match. So here's what ends up happening. You want the man blitz. You probably are guessing he's going to run, but all of those formations were out of the dime. the beginning, right? And you have to pick a play, or else it's going to pick a random one for you. You don't want that to happen. So he comes out to this dime normal set, and it's just so easy to run against, even if he's blitzing like he is. Just look at that. Look at that hole. You just have 4 men down in the middle, the 4 D linemen, and then you have the 1 guy back. You can run on that all day, even if it's out of the pistol. So I don't like that play calling style, just because of that. I like going to formations and matching to what they have. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. I'll probably come out in my base 4-3, or even a 5-2 if I'm going to guess they're running. And if they're coming out anything 3 wide receivers, I'll come out in the nickel. No, that's it. I'll come out in the nickel. Maybe like a 4-3 wide, or a nickel wide is fine. Just because, as you saw, have you seen these 2 other examples in this game? The other time the Bills came out in the 3D lineman set, and it was a running situation, so he just got burned. And this situation, because the Cardinals is using the the concept for play calling style, he kind of gets burned here a little bit. It's worked sometimes for him for sure, and it's not the worst thing I've seen. It's not awful way to call plays. It's just a little hard to use sometimes because of this, because it comes out in the dime when it shouldn't come out in the dime, and it's 1st and 10 or whatever. But we'll get into that. All right, so our next highlight here is, again, highlighting the defensive play for the Cardinals. It definitely needs some work. Here we have a 3rd and 2, a short 3rd and 2. The Bills come out in a shotgun set, but it's a 2-back set, the split back, right? So still pretty possible for the run. Now, what the Cardinals do here, they come out in this 3-4, which is good against that, but they come out in the cover 4 drop 2 thing. You guys all know the play, where it has 3-man rush here, and everybody pretty much drops back into this hyper deep zone coverage thing, right? Let's watch what the issue with that is here. 3rd and 2, you want to use a play like cover 6, maybe. The flats are just wide open there. And that's where you're looking on cover and 2, or sorry, 3rd and 2. You're looking for those flats, looking for those short plays. You just want to get that first down and keep moving, right? Most people, if they're better, they're not going to be looking down the field on that situation. So I don't really like the play call there. He was using the D lineman too, so it's not like he can compensate by going to a flat receiver if he's open. But nevertheless, it's not detrimental. I mean, he's not giving up a big play like that. But you want to make a stop on 3rd down. You want to get some momentum back for your team. So I feel like you need to be a little bit more aggressive there. Maybe a zone blitz, maybe or just like a 3-4, 4-3 cover set where it's not all out like that, like a cover 1 or maybe like a cover 6, something where it has more of the flat coverage. But it's not the worst I've seen. His user skill is pretty good. I mean, you watch some of these replays, and his D-line play, we'll get into it, is pretty phenomenal, which is why Nick Bosa already has 8 sacks, and we're 8 weeks into the season. All right, so again, I just want to touch on the play calling for style that the Cardinals use on defense, just highlighting why it's probably not the best idea, at least in my opinion. So here, the Bills come out in one of those pistol sets, but it is still a 2 running back set. And that's what it would show us. It would show us a 2 running back set, a tight end, and 2 wide receivers. And on 1st down, so it's pretty high run down. So the Cardinals, they see that. They come out in a cover 3, but they come out in this nickel set. Look at this nickel set. It's nickel. I'm pretty sure it's a nickel wide set here. So it's just not a lot of run stopping here. And look how far everybody else is playing off the line. So the Bills sees this, and they audible to a I-form formation, but the Cardinals already committed to the nickel here. They can't change the nickel. They had that personnel on the field. So, and you have a nice move there, but still it was going to be a 6-yard gain regardless if he made that move or not. And he came out in the cover 4, which is even worse, right? Just covering that deep play, trying not to give it that big shot. I think it just goes into the confidence. I don't think this Cardinals team has really gotten their full confidence yet in terms of on the defensive side of the ball. But maybe after this they'll learn some things, or further into the season they'll learn some things. So a bunch of young guys on the defensive side of the ball, so we'll see what happens. All right, so here's our next highlight here. I don't think the Cardinals like me showing this, but he is coming out in this 4-6 formation. Generally works pretty well unless you have this happen. Yikes. So this is the same drive from the other two highlights I showed, and it just goes back to just the momentum. The Bills were generating a nice pace with their drive. It was kind of hard for the Cardinals to start guessing, trying to predict what plays the Bills are going to call, and then the Bills come out with this play. It's a great play call, kind of similar kind of mindset that the Cardinals had on their first drive. Those outside routes aren't really covered, as you can see, especially in the 4-6 formation. He's covering that middle. He is covering that middle area of the field, and that's pretty much it. He has two cornerbacks wide, and linebackers can get out there for those flat plays. But if you have somebody come around like that, or somebody come around like this for a screen, it's a pretty nice play call. All right, so we have our next clip. Right after that touchdown by the Bills, the Cardinals get the ball back with enough time to drive down the field. They have a nice passing drive going here. 2nd and 2, 13 seconds remaining, and Stafford just makes a terrible read. And I'm sure the Cardinals were kicking themselves after that one. They were in a chance to tie the game with plenty of time to kick a field goal left. They just made the safe play, the safe throw there, or try to run it and maybe get a little closer for an easier throw, but there was just nothing there. And maybe if you wait a little longer, this X route came open, or he just dumped it down to the running back, who was about to come out in the flat, or just taking the sack. Look where he is in the field, right? There is plenty of space still to kick that field goal comfortably. Just making that throw there. I'm sure the Cardinals knows this after making this throw. I'm sure he realized it right away, but it's just some of those mistakes you make in a game that kind of cost you it in a close game like this. Here we go. 2 minutes left in the game. Cardinals have it. 3rd and 5 on their own 10. Looking for something to get going here.
The Cardinals on 3rd down. Just 1 for 3 thus far. This will be 3rd and 5.
3rd and 5. A little bit too far to risk that inside zone. But wow, look at this. So Ridley was kind of open here. He had a step, right? But we backtrack a little bit. Look how open the tight end is here. We'll go back a little bit more. Watch Seals-Jones come across the flat. It's 3rd and 5 on your own 10. You want to get this first down. I wouldn't be looking deep. I mean, if you are looking deep, I just think that's just a obvious route choice for people to go to. If you look, the reason why this dagger play works is because you have that flat route, you have the crossing route, which I kind of like to use as a decoy. Because watch Kirk on this play. You have Seals-Jones who gets open for the first down, but watch Kirk. Look, that's a touchdown. That is a touchdown there. That's the best. Those are your reads there. You look for the crosser to see if the guy's covering it, which the Bills were there, right? You look for Ridley over the middle. You look for Seals-Jones to see what he's at, right? Because he's your next read, but it should be over the middle, not too far from that. And then you look for Kirk. And Kirk, that seam route there will beat a lot of coverages just because there's so much stuff going on in the middle here. So it's hard for the safety to stay back or to keep up with that receiver there, that slot receiver. Just a miscommunication there by Stafford. Ridley probably should have came up with a catch there, but there was 2 better reads there, as you can see. And they're going to be kicking themselves for that because now it sets them up to punt the ball from their own 10-yard line with 2 minutes left in the game. That's going to give the Bills a good position to win this game. And we'll show this here real quickly. So the Bills do end up getting this ball pretty deep, but we'll show this 3rd and 12 here real quick. Still a chance to keep them out of the field goal range. The Cardinals go back to this play. They go back to this cover 4 drop 2 play, right, that everybody knows really well. The issue with that is, look right there. It leaves that second not the first inside guy to go over the middle, right? Not the first two inside guys to go over the middle, but it leaves that second guy with those in routes, those deep in routes, those deep crosser routes that come over the middle. They leave them wide open just because these linebackers can't cover this whole area over here, and these guys are dropping down, and these guys are playing way back. So it leaves that area 20 yards down the field wide open. It happened 3 or 4 times in this game. And then obviously no timeouts left for Arizona. Bills just kind of have to keep the ball in play, no mistakes, and they do that and go down and kick the field to win the game. So Cardinals have some really nice user skill here that I like to go over, and they have a nice team, looking like a nice team here. 6-2 record with only 75 overall team is pretty impressive. The way they run the ball is impressive. The way David Johnson's able to run with that questionable O-line is pretty impressive too. Just some things that need to be cleaned up on the defensive side of the ball, but also some things that he's doing really well. So Nick Bosa, their defensive line, that's a pretty scary defensive line. You look in that game, even on that interception there, that probably was caused by the pressure from 2 of the Cardinals linemen. So Cardinals doing some nice things. Got some work to clean up there on the defensive side of the ball, which I'm sure he's aware of. But I'm excited to see this team down the stretch. All right, so let's move on to the Texans here. Kind of go from one side of the league to another, kind of a more struggling team. The Texans feature Lamar Jackson, who's struggling in his new system here. An offense that is at the bottom of the league. Defense and points is at the bottom of the league, but it's maybe attributable a little bit to their offense being where it's at. Passing yards allowed is pretty good. Their rushing defense, from what I saw at least, the numbers kind of don't really give it justice, but it's fine. Their defense is definitely competitive. Their offense definitely needs a lot of work. Let's go into the stats a little bit here. All right, so we got Lamar Jackson, 52% completion rate, pretty low. Look at this insane touchdown interception ratio here. 6 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 14 sacks too. A lot of yards, but also a lot of attempts, right? On rushing, he's got only 11 rushing attempts for Lamar Jackson. He's got Deontay Foreman and Jerick McKinnon really not be able to get anything going on the ground. In the air, Will Fuller's been okay, but it's just been and you got Quintez Cephas, who's a rookie who's come in and he's looked good in the throws that have gone to him. But again, they really haven't had much production here on the offensive side of the ball. For defense, if Andre Hall, they have some really nice defensive pieces. Matthew, Kayvon Webster, J.J. Watt, who I believe has a nice sack in this game about to show. McKinney, who's pretty solid. Clowney, we all know Clowney. We have Jalen Mills, who they picked up. Bo Allen, who's been kind of a nice depth guy. So they have the pieces on defense to be competitive. But, with the struggling offense, it's hard to really keep the defense off the field, So if the defense is always on the field, of course they're going to be one of the last people in points allowed. All right, we'll move on to the highlights now, though. All right, so here's our first highlight here. It's the first play of the game. They throw the Fuller for a nice first completion. A little bit of a dangerous throw here. Kind of held on to it too long, but it got it done. And then they come out of this. They come out of 5-wide set. I think even the Titans are a little caught off guard by this, but not in a good way. So here, it's just not enough time to throw. He kind of had the under route open, but he was looking for that deep shot. It's just I don't like the call here. You came out a nice first play game. Sorry, excuse me. Nice first play, come out with a nice throw, and it's a 19-yard gain, right? You come out and you go 5 wide. To me, 5 wide is really only used or should be used, and it's a place where the defense knows you're going to pass, just because of how quickly the pressure does get there 5 wide, right? It's also kind of for like that second and long where it's more like I don't even say second long. I would say third and long. If it's like 10 or third and 10 or more, I would call 5 wide. Just because it's selling you out. You know it's going to be a pass, or maybe a quarterback draw. But even that is pretty messy and Madden doesn't really work that well, even with a guy like Lamar Jackson. So it's kind of just selling your giving away your card too early. As soon as Titans saw that the Texans came out in the 5 wide, it's like, oh, okay, I'll just spread my line out, spread my linebackers out, and make it a tough throw for Jackson, who's not the best thrower as it is. Now, if you look back at this, though, we can look at the mindset of you should have when you are throwing the ball. So this play could have worked still. He still had some under routes here that you could have dumped it off to, I believe, Smith Jr. was the one who gets open here. You could have dumped it off to him, still got like a decent amount of yards. But it's just, there's so much risk when you run 5 wide this early in the game or this early in your drive. But let's go over the progressions here. So he's changing Fuller up. I think he sees that as cover 3, which is good. Just not enough time. I don't even think the A route's really open. I mean, let's look at that one more time. So we're going to look for Smith here. Now, if he had let Fuller do his drag route, right, and just look short. Look, A's open. A's open right there when he's pressing it, and he was going deep though, because you can see him lined up. A is open. There it is, open. I mean, the user does come over to there, but that was your best option. That's the other thing, you know. It just takes some time for routes to get open, and when the defense isn't selling out for the pass 2 with a 3-man rush or max coverage, it's impossible to really get enough time to throw that ball. It's just selling out way too quickly. All right, for our next highlight, the Texans kind of got away with going with the 5 wide on first down, and then they go to the Wildcat. The Wildcats special, I guess you could say. I've never really seen it work that well in Madden. But I mean, if you can make it work, you can make it work. You can kind of make anything work in Madden sometimes if you know how to use it. But this is one of those things where it's kind of harder to use. And for this reason, even if it was the right play call, it's just the defense reacts to it too well. Not really enough ways for you to change it at the line of scrimmage if they're telling you something different. But then the Texans does this. He goes right back to that 5 wide set. Again, you're just selling out on everything. The Titans know it's coming. I mean, it is 3rd and 10, so nothing else you can really do here. But and he just get lucky it's not intercepted. I'm not sure what he was looking at there. But we can go back and look. Just because you put a guy on a streak here, watch, he puts Fuller on the streak. There, he puts Fuller on a streak there, and I think what he's trying to do is just trying to get him, kind of like that I talked about earlier with the Cardinals, that dagger thing effect where the safety kind of forgets about this slot receiver here. I think he's trying to get that, but it just doesn't really work. He has 2 safeties back deep. And he's ready for this deep pass, right? Because there's only one option to get this first down is a deep intermediate pass. At least that's what the Titans is thinking. So let's look at this here. So this play could have worked still. Let me back up a little bit. Again, it's just your progressions. If you're going to go 5 wide, you have to look at all your progressions. So he has the A route here. Wouldn't have been a first down. Probably could have got it complete if you had used your analog stick down to the right and had him kind of lead him towards the sideline a bit more. He also had this RB route who's breaking on the flood, right? That's why this play has him highlighted in red, right? That's your read that you should have. The other thing is if you left the Y route on that drag, it leaves this safety down, and maybe this X route does get open. But with this streak play like it is, the safety's back. He's looking for this guy. He's the only one who's really going deep or who has a step on his defender, right? So this safety knows that. The middle linebacker is using the middle of the field, and this guy's going deep to cover the B route. This flood right here is precisely for this scenario, right? It's because the defense knows this deep middle area is probably a hot zone for this third down type of play. So let's watch this RB route. I think you can kind of see. Okay, you can kind of see here in this cornerback's breaking because the ball's thrown this way. If he threw it to the RB route, right, as soon as he's in this break, as soon as he throws this ball, that could have been a completion. At least wouldn't have been a turnover, and this probably should have been a turnover. But it gets away with it again there. It's just I just don't like the use of 5 wide this much early on in the game. All right, we're going to show a little bit of a thing on defense, a little bit of another poor highlight here, I guess you could say. I like the 2-man under call, but here's the issue. And just a nice use of play there by the Titans too. But back up a little bit more. All right, so when you're in man, I do like using the D line myself, especially when you have a guy like J.J. Watt. Here's the thing you don't want to do though. Check out how he switches to this safety up here, right? Taylor has his cornerback beat, right? That's just a good throw and a good read by Mariota. But here's the thing. He starts using this safety, and what looks like it probably could have been a somewhat easy open field tackle, because even if this guy were the juke or whatever, then there's the cornerback there, so it could have been it was probably been a first down still, but at least it wouldn't have been a touchdown. But let's check this out. So look, he's using the safety, and what he's doing is he is trying to jump that route, right? We're all used to that ball hawk thing, or we're just trying to get that turnover all the time. So we're gonna switch and press Y. But here's the issue with that. Look, Matthew goes for the ball, and this guy goes for the tackle, misses the tackle because it's kind of a hard tackle there, I guess. But whatever. And instead of Matthew maybe laying a nice hit on the receiver here, he kind of whiffs on him because he was going for the interception. So in that scenario, back up a little bit. Don't even touch the safety. Until after the catch is made, maybe. Don't even touch him. Let the computers make that play right there, especially in man, like I was going over before. Let the computers make that play. Okay, maybe this ball is going to be caught, but at least it won't be a touchdown, right? So, and we can watch this play out the rest of it, and then just that's an insane juke right there. Hold on, let me show that one more time. Oh, God, that's insane. And then it's just off to the races there. So I'm only going to cover the first part of this game before it kind of gets out of hand. The Titans do end up winning this game 38-0. But I want to go over something real quick, right? So the Texans I think they did start to realize their mistakes from the first drive here, maybe a little bit at least, and they come out in the I form or the strong formation. And they're looking to run the ball. They get 2 nice runs, and now they're at their own 43. Right, the drive's starting to go, and then they go to this play. I like the play action call here, but again, it's just using the proper progressions here at quarterback. Safe throws, not touchdowns, and it's just sure. You know what? It was a overthrown ball by Jackson, but was this receiver really open? If the tight end being covered by a linebacker who's right on his butt, right? We back it up a little bit. A little bit more. Watch this fullback right here. Watch this fullback. Look, Titans came with the zone blitz here. They only have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys back in coverage, and everybody else is blitzing or covering this middle part of the field. This is your check down. You have to look to your check down first, especially if you feel the blitz. When you're using these play action plays, right? See if he's blitzing. Next, if he is blitzing, check down. Check down's not open. You probably might have to throw it away, or if you can see if somebody else is up down the field, you can make that throw. But your first read shouldn't be down the field on a play action, just because of how poorly the offensive line blocks, especially if you see the pressure, right? If you see the blitz coming, you shouldn't be looking over here. You should be looking down here, because what these zone blitzes and these blitzes are doing is they're covering. They only can cover a limited amount of people. It's because everybody else is blitzing, right? So oftentimes the check down is there because when people blitz, it leaves certain areas of the field open, leaves these flats open. So should have thrown the check down there. It was overthrown by Jackson, but again, Jackson's not the most accurate passer anyway, so you want to try and look for these checkdowns more often, especially with a passer like that. Maybe Rodgers could have made that throw, or at least not got it intercepted, but Rodgers probably still wouldn't have made that throw. The check down was 100% the right read here. All right, so here we do have a positive here for the Texans. It's not all doom and gloom here for this Houston squad. Look at this J.J. Watt. Mariota had some people open there, but when you have J.J. Watt come off this block like that in a 3-4 formation and get to the quarterback that quickly, that's just insane. Nice user play there by the Texans. All right, and then the next play, this is what happens.
Mariota will need a big play after the sack as the Titans come
Texans
up
using the
3rd and
coaching
long.
suggestions here. Not a big fan of it unless you're really lost with what the other team is doing. Kind of is good for getting you back on track or for mixing your plays up on offense. Still, he had a chance to make a play here, right? Let's check this out again. Again, this goes back to trusting your computer to make a play. If you're not comfortable using this play, because this should have been an interception by all accounts. If you're not comfortable or confident enough to use this play and get that interception, just let the computer do it. The computer, if you look back maybe another second here, look, before he's even switched to him.
He's going to launch this thing.
Back up a little bit more. Before he even switches him, the computer's already breaking towards that ball. See? The computer's already breaking towards that ball. That should have been an interception. The computer probably would have intercepted that, or at least got a hand on it, right? It wouldn't have been a big gain like it was. Now, users happen, even to the best people user, sometimes they'll miss that. But if you're struggling, if you don't have the confidence to make that user interception or that user play, just let the computer do it. Because now he overcommits and Taylor catches it when he probably shouldn't have. An interception right there or an incompletion on 3rd down could have changed the course of this whole game. Madden's all about momentum. You don't want to give up momentum. Turnovers, give up momentum. Big plays like that, give up momentum. Touchdowns, obviously, give up momentum. Even just a nice long drive gives up some momentum. So any chance you can get to stop that momentum from getting built on the other side, you should take it.
Now 2 straight
Texans do get some stops here. 3rd and 10, and the Texans go with another coaching suggestion. So
they'll throw again.
he goes with all man here. Now, Mariota makes a nice throw, but I mean, you're 3rd and long, right? And short field the gain. He's looking for those short throws here because of it being 3rd and long, and because of it being the red zone. There's not really that far to gain, right? You're not stretching the field here in the red zone, so there's really no. I don't think the blitz is the right call here. If you think he's going to run the ball, by all means. If you think he's going to do that inside zone thing, by all means, blitz is a great call. But here, you need to probably just let your team make the right coverage play here. There's just, if you go zone in this area of the field or man zone concept, like a 2-man under thing, there's just, there's only so many areas where these receivers can really run, right? If you have everything covered up with zones, then, it makes it really hard for the quarterback to make the right read. And the other thing about that is it just takes longer for him to make the right read, right? Unless it's open right away, right? Like it was here, kind of. It just takes too long, and then the pass rush gets there. So I don't agree with the blitz call here, and the Titans end up coming up with what should have been an interception from the play before, or a couple plays before. Turns out to be a touchdown. All right, so first play of the Texans' next drive. That's what they come out in. 5 wide. So I know getting down 2 touchdowns in the first quarter is frustrating, but this isn't the way to go about it again, 5 wide. It should not be used on your 1st and 10 ever, unless you're in. If this was in the second quarter in 2 minutes, all right, fine. That's totally okay to use 5 wide. It's just there's too many things that can go wrong. Too many things that can go wrong with 5 wide this early in the game. You need to establish some pace and momentum in your drive, right? You can't just go straight to 5 wide.
5 plays.
But let's see what happens here.
Touchdowns early. Probably not very deep into their script.
I mean, he's lucky he got that completed, right? He had to make a quick read because the pass rush is already getting there, and he's already probably rushing throws because of the pass rush. But he's in 5 wide, and he hasn't established the run at all. So why would the Titans want to blitz, right? Why would he want to leave any other area of this field open? He's in dime for a reason, right? He knows you're coming out 5 wide. He knows you're passing the ball. So why wouldn't he just let his 4-man guys get there and just go max coverage and let you take those short routes if they're open at all, which they're not that open often, right? So, yeah, again, just the 5 wide, just called a little bit too often here on 1st down.
For 9 and a 1st down.
You can see the time and effort.
So, play for this, he does come out 5 wide and make a completion. Then he comes to a wildcat, which pretty much just a 5 wide with the running back who's supposed to run. Everybody knows he's going to run. He makes a nice play here, breaking this out. Definitely makes a nice play. I don't know if I agree with using the pistol there or at all, but it worked out for him, so it's a nice play. Alright, so here's the last play I'm going to show before it gets too ugly for the Texans' sake. 3rd and 8. Jackson's running. He scrambles, and he takes the hit there, but, I mean, down to 2 touchdowns at the end of the second. I don't know if I would take that hit there, but it was still a nice play to bring it down and actually use Jackson's legs, right? 11 rushes. We saw the stats earlier, right? 11 rushes. With Jackson, I just think that's not enough. When plays are broken down like this, Jackson isn't the type of guy to fit it in there. He's the type of guy to pull it down and scramble for 10 yards like he did here, right? So I think the Texans could probably utilize Jackson more in that aspect. Not utilize him in the 5 wide, because really the 5 wide, you don't see quarterbacks scrambling with a 5 wide, right? Unless it's like a quarterback draw. The people who run 5 wides are quarterbacks who are looking to pass the ball. Jackson's not the quarterback who's probably looking to pass the ball that often, right? You need to establish the run game. You need to establish some of those short routes, get Jackson in rhythm. And that's really with any quarterback, right? You need to establish some pace with your offense. You can't just be going for these deep shots or go for these 5 wide sets, right? Just becomes too predictable. And that's the whole thing about Madden, right? You can't be too predictable. It's just too easy to adjust things on defense to counteract some of that. As long as you're not cheesy, of course. So this is the last replay I'm going to this last highlight I'm going to show from this game, and we're probably going to wrap this up from here, just because I probably already have a lot of content to edit. Again, just going over Jackson's stats. It just isn't the passer. You need to lessen the attempts, and that'll come with making more of these attempts. We go back to the Cardinals, right? Number 1 rushing offense in the league right now, right? Go back to the Arizona Cardinals. As soon as I find where they are, there they are. Stats. We go back to their rushing attempts. Look at that. You just looked at the Texans. David Johnson, their lead running back, has 121 attempts. Bryce Love has 47 attempts. So, excuse me. So we go back to the Texans team, right? Not running the ball nearly as much, and that's probably attributed somewhat to their lack of production on offense. But if you run the ball more, everything just starts to open up for you. Look at that, 14 points a game. It's not going to get it done. On offense, they have like 50 less carries for McKinnon, their lead running back, and 20 less carries for Foreman, their backup, as opposed to the Cardinals' backup. So the key to running the ball is not that hard. You just have to. It's just volume. You have to be able to open things up and not be afraid to go in the I form or the single back and run the ball up the middle. Madden, the D line, the D tackles do get free pretty easily, but if you keep doing it, people are in cover 2, cover 3 even sometimes. Running it up the middle is the best way to beat that sometimes, especially when you're trying to get the pace going early in the game or when it's 1st and 10. Don't just if I had any advice for the Texans, is just to run the ball, take the check down, look low before you look high. If you need a shot, call those shot plays. Right, you're using the run and gun playbook. You're looking to run and gun. If you're not running, then that playbook is kind of pointless, right? It's not made to be used 5 wide. It's made to run the ball up the middle and then use a play action, which is then opened up, right? If we go back to that play action interception that the Texans had, right? If we go back to that, he had a nice flat route open that could have been a first down, right? All right, and then your drive starts to roll. Your drive starts to get going, right? You can run the ball maybe next first down, or you can go to another play action or quick pass, right? There's so many more options you had than just to go with the 5 wide. So, again, maybe another thing you can look at for the Texans is maybe changing up the scheme a little bit here. Maybe not so much the spread. You want to go with a different playbook. If you want to use Jackson like a run and gun type of quarterback, then you need to pick a playbook that's a little bit better with running the ball. The run and gun playbook, as you saw, doesn't have a lot of the best running formations. My suggestion would be the San Francisco one, or just make your own. Make sure you incorporate a lot of the I formations that are good, not just a bunch of outside runs either. You need a lot of those halfback dives, those power O's, even sometimes sprinkled in there, those zone weak runs to the opposite side, right? Just mix up your running plays just like you would the passing plays. Again, it's just hard to generate anything when your offense isn't getting the ball down the field and there's turnovers, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier. 16 interceptions. Yeah, it's kind of hard to generate points when the other team has it the whole time, or it's hard to kind of stop them when the team has it the whole time, right? So mistakes kill you, and when your offense can't generate enough points to counteract that mistake, it's kind of hard to win games. So, so that's going to wrap it up for this week. I'm sorry for giving some harsh criticism for both teams, more so the Texans, obviously. I'm just trying to help people out here. If you have any questions or concerns, or if you think that your team should be on it next week, send me a DM. I'm really looking to. I'm not trying to sound conceited here or anything. I'm not saying the best Madden player, but I definitely know some things, right? I'm not the best by any means, but I played probably way too much Madden this year, so I do these videos just to kind of, give people some highlights, give people some shout-outs with the things you're doing really well, or the things they're doing not so well that probably could improve on. So again, any requests for tips, just send me a DM. And until next time.